Throughout the history of baseball, there have been plenty of quote-unquote dirty players. Alex Rodriguez is one of the most notable ones, someone who got into benches clearing brawls, shouting matches with opposing players, and even slapped the ball off of a pitcher who just simply tried to tag him out. If you want to go back a little more, Albert Bell was a feared player, someone who ran over an infielder in an attempt to break up a double play, and even chased down kids who egged his house on Halloween. As far as today's game goes, there is one player who stands out from the rest when it comes to being dirty. Someone who once threw his bat at a player, has been a part of multiple benches clearing incidents, charged the mound, arguably ended a player's career, said he could crush a pitcher with his bat, among other things. And that player is Manny Machado. Manny Machado was born and raised in Miami, growing up a Marlins fan and going on to get selected 3rd overall by the Baltimore Orioles in the 2010 draft, making his major league debut just 2 years later. Machado wasn't necessarily anything special at first, hitting to a 739 OPS in his first year, a 746 in his second year, and a 755 OPS in his third year, with 2014 being the year Manny really made a name for himself, but not necessarily in the best way possible. While running to third base during a play, Machado got tagged out by Josh Donaldson, a tag in which he thought was too rough, resulting in a benches clearing incident, and it wasn't done right then and there. The very next day, Machado struck A's catcher Derek Norris with his bat on his backswing. Later in the game, with Machado up to the plate again, Athletics pitcher Fernando Abad threw behind Machado. Machado was not happy, immediately getting an idea and going on to throw his bat to third base after the next pitch went inside. The bat wasn't meant for the third baseman though, as his plan was to throw it back right at Abad on the mound. Machado and Abad were both ejected. Machado went on to apologize to both his teammates and the A's, getting a 5-game suspension along with a fine by the league. 2015 came around, and Manny Machado was really good. He played all 162 games during the season, hit 286 with an 861 OPS, becoming an All-Star, winning a Gold Glove, and finishing 4th in the MVP voting, going on to be arguably even better in 2016, hitting 294 with an 876 OPS, hitting 37 home runs, driving in 96, getting selected to the All-Star game again, and finishing 5th in MVP voting again. And that's where we get to Machado's arguably biggest benches clearing incident. The late Yordano Ventura of the Kansas City Royals was also someone known to get an on-field drama more often than others. So him and Machado facing one another wasn't necessarily the best formula for peace. And Manny's second at-bat of the game against Ventura threw 2 pitches that tailed inside to Manny, and he clearly wasn't having it. After flying out to end the at-bat, Machado had some words for Ventura, staring him down and yelling at him while walking back to the dugout. Skip ahead to the 5th, and this is when things went haywire. After getting with a 99-mile-per-hour fastball, Manny Machado charged the mound, fought Ventura, the benches cleared, both players were ejected, and Manny ended up being suspended for 4 games. 2017 was Machado's most controversial situation. The Orioles were taking on the Red Sox at Camden Yards, and Mark Trumbo hit a grounder to short. On his way to second, Machado slid into Dustin Pedroia after Xander Bogaerts' throw to second, injuring him and knocking him out of the game. Nothing of note happened afterward, but this was not the end. According to Machado, the slide that hurt Pedroia was unintentional, with him also claiming that he reached out to Pedroia after the game. But whether the Red Sox knew of that or not, that didn't help them forget. A couple days later, Eduardo Rodriguez threw inside near Manny's kneecaps 3 consecutive times, missing every single one of them. So later in the game, Red Sox reliever Matt Barnes took matters into his own hands, throwing near Machado's head, missing and actually hitting his bat. Machado didn't charge the mound or cause too much of a scene, but was obviously angry, telling Pedroia that it wasn't right to throw at his head, to which Pedroia responded, "It's not me, it's them." When Pedroia said that, a number of Red Sox fans actually started to dislike him, thinking that he threw his teammates under the bus and took Manny Machado's side, but that actually may not have been the case. According to Jared Carrabis of Barstool Sports, Pedroia wasn't talking about his teammates, but rather manager John Farrell and the rest of the Red Sox coaching staff, a group that ended up losing their jobs that very offseason. Believe it or not, the Red Sox weren't done, and this really showed how hated of a player Manny Machado really is. During their next meeting, this time at Fenway Park, Chris Sale decided to throw the first pitch he threw to Manny Machado behind his knees. A warning was set for both dugouts, and that was the end of that. But Manny had some words for the Red Sox after the game.
Throwing that at my head, you're throwing that everywhere. Bullshit. I've lost my respect for the organization, for that coaching staff, for everyone over there. Hit me, go ahead. Hit me. Don't let this keep lingering around and keep trying to hit people. This bullshit. Nobody should do something about hit pitchers out there with balls in their hands, throwing 100 miles per hour, trying to hit people. I had a bat too. I could go up there and crush somebody if I wanted to, but you know what? I'll get suspended for the year, and the pitchers only get suspended for 2 games. That's not cool.
In 2018, the Orioles were having one of the worst seasons ever, but it certainly had nothing to do with Manny Machado. Manny was hitting .315 with a .963 OPS in 96 games before getting traded to the Dodgers, where he'd go on to hit .273 with an .825 OPS. October rolled around, and Manny was back in some drama, this time with the Milwaukee Brewers. There were a couple of hard and pretty illegal slides into Orlando Arcia at second base during Game 3 by Manny, but it's what happened the next night that got everyone talking. During the 10th inning of Game 4 in the NLCS, Machado hit a routine grounder to short. After getting the putout at first base, Jesus Aguilar was stepped on by Machado. The two had some words, the benches cleared, and although Manny and Jesus seemed to make up later in the game, that did not stop eventual 2018 National League MVP Christian Yelich having some words for Machado after the game.
You're just a dirty player. It's a dirty play by a dirty player, and that's what it is. I mean, I have a lot of respect for him as a player, but you can't respect someone who plays for the end of the day.
Manny Machado, along with being dirty, is known for not hustling, and he knows it. After getting criticized about not hustling, Manny had this to say, quote, "I'm not the type of guy that's going to be Johnny Hustle and run down the line and slide to first base." End quote. After becoming a free agent, however, Machado kind of backtracked on that statement, explaining how he was on the defense when originally asked the question, he answered it wrongly, and it didn't come across how he meant it, going on to say that there is a difference between fake hustle and someone who actually tries to win, and that he is a guy who will do anything for his team to win. In March of 2019, Manny Machado was voted as the dirtiest player in baseball in a player poll, so that just tells you everything about what many other players think of him. In Machado's first year with his new team San Diego Padres in 2019, there was a questionable play where Manny laid his bat right around the feet of the Diamondbacks catcher, resulting in him dropping the ball. People assume he was trying to trip him, and the Diamondbacks booth certainly thought so. There's no proof of it, so we'll never know, but it definitely isn't something out of the ordinary for Machado to do. You then have 2020, when Machado was thrown at by the Texas Rangers and yelled at by his former Dodger teammates on the field. Let's go over the Dodgers incident first. After hitting a home run off of Clayton Kershaw in Game 2, Machado threw his bat in celebration. Later in the game, after Dodgers pitcher Brusdar Graterol was saved by a Cody Bellinger game-saving home run robbery, Graterol did his typical celebration while walking off the mound, and Manny did not like it, screaming right at him. Graterol blew a kiss, the Dodger players walking off the field, including Max Muncy and Mookie Betts, screamed back at Manny, and that was the end of that. As far as the Rangers throwing at Manny goes, that actually had nothing to do with anything Machado ever did. Machado's teammate Fernando Tatis Jr. had just hit a grand slam on a 3-0 count when the Padres were already winning the game by 7 runs. Rangers manager Chris Woodward hates players having fun, so what did he do? Have his pitcher throw behind the next hitter up, Manny Machado. Just an all-around ridiculous situation. There was this incredibly questionable slide into Tommy Edman between first and second base in 2021, but nothing really came out of this. Other than a few ejections, Machado didn't have too much drama surrounding him in 2021. At least not until September, when he got into a heated dugout argument with Fernando Tatis Jr. The Padres had an incredibly disappointing season, and Machado was just getting on his teammate's case about showing up the umpire after a questionable call. The two reconciled and talked in front of the media, speaking highly of one another. As of late, Manny seems to have toned it down the more years he gets under his belt, and he definitely seems like a mentor to guys like Tatis in San Diego. As talented as Manny is and as matured as he's gotten, you cannot take away all the things that he's done and could potentially still do in the future. Manny Machado is the dirtiest player in the game right now. Let me know how you feel about Manny Machado, and thank you for watching.